Alrighty, so what's up, everybody? First and foremost, shout out to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome back to another late night edition of Let's Talk Bulls podcast. My name is Corey, and in today's episode, we will be discussing, are the Chicago Bulls ready for the start of the regular NBA season? Based off of what we've seen in the last few NBA preseason games by the Chicago Bulls. And in my opinion, my answer to that is yes. I like the Bulls' energy. I like their aggression. I like the way the ball is moving. It seems like a lot of the players have great team chemistry with each other. It seems like they're really trying to build something. They're really trying to have an identity, not just the front office, but the players as well. It seems like everybody is on the same page. So I think that the Bulls are ready. What do I see from the Chicago Bulls in the 2025-2026 NBA season? I think that they're going to be somewhere between, based on what I see in these first few preseason NBA games, based on that, I think that the Bulls are going to be anywhere between 35 and I would say between 35 and 41 wins. That's what I can see. I mean, we have talent on the team, but the thing is, we have a lot of talent on the team that still needs time to develop. I mean, we have Coby White, okay. He's great. He's been in the league for, like 5-6 years now, okay. He's still a young player. You have Buzelis. You know, a lot of people look at him like he's the future of the team, and maybe he is. I think that he is as well. But with Buzelis, he's continuing to develop too. It's not like based on what I've seen in these first few preseason games, it still doesn't seem like he's quite that player where you just, force feed him the ball. Like, here you go, Mattis. Here you go, Mattis Buzelis. Here, get us 30 points tonight. Get us 40. Get us 25. Here you go, win the game for us. Take us home, Buzelis. I don't see him as that right now. I'm not saying that he can't be that or that he won't be that, but I just don't see that in him right now. He's developing, and there's no knock against him. It's not necessarily a bad thing either, but I just don't see that with him right now. I believe that the potential is there, but I see the Chicago Bulls winning anywhere between 35 and 41 wins this season, and I think that 35 or 41 is not going to come easy. The East is very talented. The West is just beyond talented. I mean, it's almost like everybody in the West is a contender. Like 10 teams are contenders in the West. So, but the NBA is very talented. It's a lot of great teams out there. A lot of great individual players. So the Chicago Bulls, they have a tough schedule. And a lot of these games is going to be the effort. It's going to be the energy. It's going to be the aggression. It's going to be the team chemistry that wins the game for them, because that's just the way of the league nowadays. There's a lot more talent than there used to be. A lot more teams are going to be fighting for playoff positioning, especially in the play-in, especially in the Eastern Conference. So the Bulls are really going to have to bring it each and every night. If they want to be between that 35 and 41 win range, they're going to have to bring it every single night. They're going to have to bring their A game every single night, because if they don't, if they're lackadaisical, if they're not aggressive, if they're not being intentional about scoring the ball and getting the win and putting up a fight and all of those good things, I don't know. I can see this. I can see the season going kind of sideways for them. But on a good note, this is a contract year for Coby White, so I can definitely see the Bulls, to a certain extent, just intentionally getting the ball to him. And I know that Coby's going to want to have it. I know he wants to prove himself. Just like, hey, I would want to do the same thing if I was in that position, in a contract year. Who wouldn't, go out and ball out and have your best year ever. So I can definitely see Coby White definitely stepping up to the plate more. To what extent, I really don't know, because I don't really see, as you guys can see in my previous videos here, I don't really see Coby White as a number one player on a contending team. And if that's what the Bulls are trying to build here, if the Bulls are trying to build a contending team, a team that can eventually make it to the playoffs and eventually build to be a championship team, I personally don't see Coby White as that number one option player to do that. I see Coby White as more of a third or fourth option on a championship contending team. That's just me. So I think hopefully Coby White has a great year this year. I can see him coming out and averaging between 23 and 25 Hopefully it's a great year for Buzelis. Now, this is one thing I will tell you about Buzelis. I like his mentality. I like his approach to the game. And he even said on media day that one of his goals is to be the most improved player in the NBA. Hey, and I believe him. I feel like when people talk like that, I think that they really mean it. He comes off as a guy who really means what he says. And then I've even seen an article that says that Buzelis was in contact with he was in contact with D Rose, via text message, just asking him how he can improve his second year, how to approach his second year. And and when you do things like that, it shows that at the very least that you're serious about what you're saying. You're very serious about the goal that you're trying to achieve with this upcoming NBA season. So I like what I'm hearing from Buzelis. I believe that he can be the most improved player. I really do. But in order to do that, he's going to have to really he's going to have to step up his points per game. I think he averaged just a little bit under 10 points in his rookie year. So I think he's going to have to be at least in that 15 to 20 point per game average. Also be a fantastic defensive player as well, like he mentioned in media day, and then also success of the Chicago Bulls. So if the Bulls can do if those three things can happen, if Mattis can average between 15 and 20, be a fantastic defender, have some great plays throughout the season, be responsible for a lot of the Bulls wins, hey, he can be that most improved player. That's my opinion on that. So let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be a great season for the Bulls. Now, I think that the one thing that's going to determine this season for the Chicago Bulls, the one thing I think is going to be their aggression / their fight. They have to have that aggression. They have to have that fight. They have to have that as their main identity this year. At least that, at the very least. Everybody's shooting threes. Everybody's going fast. Everybody is doing that at the NBA, But a lot of teams in the NBA are not really being that aggressive and things like that, So the Bulls are going to have to definitely, at the very, very least, and they can shoot all the threes they want. They can be as fast as they want. They can have all the team chemistry that they want and things like that. But if you notice, team chemistry, without the aggression, without applying it, without executing it, what does that mean? So it seems like they have it right now in the preseason, but hey, we're going to see once this regular season comes. We hope that it translates over into the regular season because they're definitely going to need it. This is not going to be an easy season. This is one of their tougher schedules in the last few years from what I can remember. So the Bulls are definitely going to have to bring it. Every single game. I'm sorry, I said it was one key factor in this upcoming season for the Bulls, but I'm mistaken. It's actually two. So the second key factor is the teams that you're supposed to beat. Okay, Washington Wizards, Brooklyn Nets, Utah Jazz. Okay, we play the Jazz twice a year. That's 2 wins. Okay, we play the Nets. We should at least beat them three out of 4 times. We play the Wizards. We should at least beat them 3 out of 4 times. So that's how many wins is that? That's 7 wins right there. Just beating those few teams that you should be beating. And then, throughout the season, teams have losing streaks. Their chemistry begins to fall apart. Various things happen with different teams throughout the year. So when those things happen, the Bulls have to be very intentional about saying, okay, they've got such and such out injured. They don't have the best team chemistry right now. They're on a losing streak. They've got this and that going on. They've got to be able to just be aggressive with that. Notice that, know who they're going against. Like who's that says that? Stacey King, KYP, know your personnel. That's real talk right there. So know who you're going against, know the team that you're playing, know the teams that you should be beating. Even the Toronto Raptors, I feel like we should beat them 3 out of 4 times in the season. So that's how many wins is that? That's 10 wins right there of games that we should win. Who else is not that great of a team right now? Charlotte Hornets, I would say we should beat them at least 2 to 3 times out of 4 times this year as well. So the Bulls just have to look at it that way and just say, hey, this team tonight, we should be winning this game. There's no reason that we shouldn't be winning this game, especially against the teams that I mentioned, the Wizards, Brooklyn Nets, what was that third team? And the Washington Wizards. You know, no disrespect to them, but I'm just saying, on the surface, they don't seem like, at least right now, that on the surface, they don't seem like they're going to win a bunch of games this NBA season. So the Bulls definitely have to beat those teams. So number one, aggression/fight. Okay. Number two, beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. And if the Bulls can do those two things alone, especially in the Eastern Conference, I don't see them falling out of the play-in. I don't see them being an 11th seed or lower. I just don't see that. If they can do those two things, be aggressive, have some fight to yourself. Okay, those are kind of synonymous. All right, but then also beat the teams you're supposed to beat. They can just do those two things, which I know is easier said than done sometimes. You know, it should be a successful season for the Chicago Bulls. They should at least make it to the play-in. You know, hopefully win in the play-in, actually make it to the playoffs. And if they can win a few games in the playoffs, I think it's gonna be looking up for the Bulls, because in 2026 the Bulls have some of the most cap space in the NBA. I think they have like the third or fourth most, but it's gonna be a lot. Vooch won't be on the books anymore. Kobe White is a free agent. Like I say, who knows what's gonna happen with that. Who else is coming off the books? There's I can't think of it right now. Some other players on the team are coming off the books as well. So the Bulls are going to have a lot of cap space. You never know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. I mean, we saw what happened last year. If Luka Doncic can be traded, nobody is untouchable in the NBA. That's just my take on that. So anything can happen at the trade deadline. Anybody can end up on the Bulls. I know it seems far-fetched. I mean, who knows? We might end up with Zion, with Giannis, with Joel Embiid, with somebody else that we're not even thinking about right now. You know, whether that be via the trade deadline or via 2026 free agency or trades over the 2026 summer, you just never know. So it would really be in the Chicago Bulls' best interest that everybody does as best as they can, from the front office to the players, because I feel like in a sense this can kind of be a make it or break it season, you know, for the Chicago Bulls. You know, you don't want to be you don't want to be a mediocre team like we've been for the last few seasons. You don't want to be in the middle. You don't want to be a treadmill team like we've been. So if Kobe White can come out, catch fire, and be consistent with that, if Buzelis can turn into that most improved player slash all-star player, if other players on the team can step up as well, hey, it's looking up for the Bulls. And you got that 2026 cap space. Hey, that would be great for the Bulls. You know, you want to attract those free agents. If you have a terrible season, I mean, yeah, of course players are going to come for the money and stuff like that, but you know, you want players to also look at the team like, hey, this is a team that I can grow with. I see this team making some noise in the near future. I see this team contending in the near future, you know. So it's a very important year coming up for the Bulls. I would be very surprised if they just drop the ball and just have a terrible season and end up with like 30 wins only or something like that. I would be surprised by that. But at the same time, it would still be some optimism there, because you get a chance for a high draft pick, and hopefully if things do go way left, you know, which I'm not expecting that for the Bulls, but if they do, they'll end up with a high draft pick. And 2026 is a very deep draft. From what I'm seeing, I think like if you end up with a top 10 pick in the 2026 NBA draft, it can change your franchise if you end up with like a top 10 pick. So, and that's saying a lot about the 2026 NBA draft. So it's a huge year. Either we can end up a lottery team, which I hope we don't, but if we do, hey, we get a top pick. You never know, we might get the number one pick. You know, or have a great year, prove yourself, attract other players, get a big trade done. Never know. You know, I think it's gonna be an interesting, to sum this all up though, it's gonna be an interesting year for the Bulls. So I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want to keep going on and on. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you watched it all the way through. I look forward to making more videos for you guys in the near future. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let's Talk Bulls podcast. My name is Corey. Peace out. Have a good one.